Let's make some picks.
Let's do some.
Let's do it.
You started.
It's a good card. It's a good card.
Oregon, Purdue. What we thinking right now? I start with Oregon and Purdue. They play tonight, actually.
Are we
matchup.
really thinking that? Are we really going to talk about that game?
Yep. You said I can start. I can do what I want when I'm popping. I'm the coach.
Stop being a micro thinker.
I like building up, JB. I don't like start with the best thing. I like to build up to the best thing.
I thought he was going to bring up fucking Ball State, the worst team in fucking America.
We just won last week, and we got Vandy this week. About to upset them motherfuckers. I'm doing it for Alabama. I'm doing it for T-Rich. They couldn't beat Vandy. It's okay. Ball State's going to take care of that business. Chirp, chirp, upset alert, Ball State money line.
Speaking on Oregon, listen, this is a really tough game. Obviously, coming off that huge win last week, have to go to essentially the East Coast. That's not been easy for teams. Only one team has covered the spread going from east to west or west to east. Very difficult to do. It is a Friday night. You got more important games on the horizon. Purdue stinks. They can't stop anybody. One of the worst defenses in the country. But Oregon doesn't really win these games by margin. I will tell you right now, I'm not personally betting on this game. If I had to, though, I'd probably lean with Oregon. Purdue's just really bad, but it's a tough game. There are better games tonight. I think. Let me throw one out to you guys. And I know a lot of people won't like this. Duke has never beaten Florida State, ever. They're 0-22 all time. They've never won. Tonight, they're at home. They're off a bye. They're off a loss. They're bowl eligible with a win. They're better than Florida State. Florida State just isn't good. They're 1-5. Their quarterback stinks. They can't move the football. Okay? I look at Duke. I like their defense. They have a better quarterback. Florida State's been really good for a long time. It's not surprising they've always beaten Duke because Duke stinks generally. These are different teams now. Duke is a better team than Florida State. I think 3 is a fair number here. I'm willing to lay it. I'll also talk about Oklahoma State and Brigham Young. Oklahoma State's another team. Is a bye week going to fix their issues? Their coach is more worried about fucking cattle in his fucking pen. Didn't he get kicked in the head or something? I heard a story about this.
I think he got his ass beat at a bar, but that's what he won't show his face.
That's possible. That said, I mean, BYU is legit. I don't know how they're doing it though, because they're not great at really anything. They don't run the ball.
They got a Jew at quarterback. That's why.
Yeah, they're just kind of good at everything. They're not great. They're good at everything.
They got a Jew at quarterback at a Mormon school. You can't do it. They're destined to win it all. So that's a good point. Oklahoma State can't run the ball. Ollie Gordon's been a mess. I mean, they literally can't run the ball. The quarterback play has been problematic. I've heard they're going to look at a new quarterback. Just not things you want to do headed on the road to take on. Have you heard that like shitbirds face what we call karma at some point? Because it's crazy. I was going to go down this checklist of shitbirds. I was going to do it one day on the show, and I was like, fuck, Ollie Gordon's in there. Like, Ollie Gordon's in there, and Tyreek, or what's his name, Tyree Rice, Kyrie Rice, whatever his fucking name, he's in there. Rasheed, without a D. He's in there, and then look at all the shitbirds that are on the list that just ironically got hurt or doesn't play. It's funny.
You know what I was thinking? I would love to see, you know what a really interesting fight would be? Coach JB against Mike Gundy. I feel like that would be
It wouldn't be interesting.
I feel like Gundy's kind of like got that,
that craziness to him.
He's like I could see him going to like an old saloon in like I don't know, Oklahoma somewhere and rustling up and grabbing that rope and throwing it around your fucking neck and strangling you.
Near my office.
I can see Coach Mike Gundy like biting JB in a fight. Like JB's choking him and he's winning, and I know where Mike just bites the shit out of him and he starts to change the whole fight. Like he's kind of like.
But couldn't you see Mike Gundy in one of them old like John Wayne movies? Mm-hmm. You know, he's got like one of those fucking ropes and he throws it around JB's
hairs
neck.
Everywhere, like electrocuted or something like that.
I would actually take it like I would take it lightly on him. It would be that bad.
Yo, Gundy's getting hit in the head with fucking by cattle, and he's just fine.
I mean, if he could take that, he could take a JB.
Cattle would knock you the fuck out.
Right.
Yeah. Let's dive into these games real quick by order. Yeah. I got to ask you a couple of particular ones because the coach of the year's lines is in limbo, and I believe it comes down to a few coaches. Kalani Sitake's one of them at BYU.
Yeah,
but
he's been great.
Right here, this guy at Indiana is another one, maybe probably leading the pack right here. They look good since day one, as he said. Google me, I win. They play Nebraska. Nebraska is a one-loss team, obviously, to Illinois. Illinois turned around and lost another game. This game right here is seems like it's a very, very impactful one, not only on this division, but on the country's playoff hopes. Where you at with this Indiana, Cignetti-led Hoosier team versus Rule in Nebraska?
Well, they better enjoy Cignetti because he ain't going to be there real long. This guy is on the short list of the best coaches in the country. It's that simple. This is how you motivate young people right here, getting them to care about playing defense again, getting them to care about, running offense, having a good offensive line, all that sort of thing. He's been electric, and Indiana is really good at a lot of levels. They score touchdowns. They're a good defense. They do a lot of things I want as a gambler. They cover spreads. They're one of the best teams in the country at covering numbers. Coach, I've not seen one person on Indiana this week. It is Nebraska. And all I've heard is Indiana hasn't played anybody. Nobody's played anybody. Who's good in college football? Who does Texas play? Texas played. I want to make that argument. I've made the argument. I still think, though, it's a little weak, especially in this case. Indiana's murdered every team they played. I'm not a big fan of Raiola. I think he's going to run into a really good defense here, too. I played this number at 4.5. It was the first game I played this week on the card. I bet it last Sunday. It's now 6.5. Everybody's coming in on taking Indiana or Nebraska here. I'm going to keep riding with Indiana. They've been good to me. I'll keep rocking with them.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Indiana as well. I just think
me too.
I think college football is so mediocre that anybody can beat any of these fuckers.
JB, I think football in general is mediocre, not even just college, NFL, CFL.
Let me ask you, Smitty, if you have a schedule, so like Army, they haven't played anybody either, but Army is murdering every team they play. Indiana's won every game by 14 or more points.
Yeah.
What more can I do? I don't set the schedule. The fucking administration does.
Something I always say, Jeff, is control what you can control.
Exactly.
My head coach will always say that, and you can't control who's on your schedule or how good or bad they are. All you think you can do is go out there and play for 4 quarters and dominate. That's what they're doing.
Let's ask ourselves, what teams are going to have or look for new coaches, right? Like big schools.
There's a few.
I mean, I'm trying to think. Would Florida State fire Norvell?
He has one more year, or at least a half a season next year, I think. Because last season they just went fucking undefeated basically. So
you got Florida for sure, probably.
So if you're Florida, you have to throw the bank at Cignetti. Cignetti's legit. He has won everywhere he's went.
The problem is he's 60-something years old, and it's Florida. It's Gainesville. Gainesville screams Lane Kiffin to me. I want a young, sexy guy that's going to be able to recruit Florida, and that's just how these people that hire think. They're not going to go hire an older guy like that, an old white guy.
Well, I'll tell you what, maybe he'll just stay at Indiana, and maybe he'll be the next challenge to the Ohio States and the Michigan.
It's similar to USC, though. See, USC, I would love Cignetti there, but he's too old. Like, I could actually see Urban Meyer going to USC for 5 years.
Yeah, I think Urban's done though. So like when you say too old, are you saying from a standpoint of like recruiting or just like from optically it just doesn't look good?
Here's what happens. Cignetti holds you to the fire. He holds you to your word. He holds you to old school mentality like I do, right? And I'm 10, 15 years younger than him. You go to Florida and do that, Smitty, with the collective they have, and you can't grab a Miami kid because he's a shitbird and he demands $300K and he's a 3-star, and then Cignetti says, get fucked, and then he comes over there and the collective signed him, and then he benches him, and then he leaves. Cignetti's like, nah, fuck that. That's not Cignetti. It has to fit both parties. Cignetti wants full autonomy. That's why he went to Bloomington. Because nobody watches Bloomington, Indiana, and the fucking admin there wants a coach and wants to win and create a culture. You can't do that at Miami, Florida, Florida State, Alabama. All eyes are on them all the time. You're not going to take a 63-year-old that's going to demand again. You want a guy that's 40 who will allow. And that's the fucking unfortunate part of college football. So
well, listen, I'll just say this. The team he has is really good on both ends. And look, Dylan Raiola is getting there, but he was terrible last game. Terrible against Rutgers. This is a really, really good defense too. Indiana, I believe, is off a bye as well. So I like this spot for Indiana. I also want to mention Miami, Louisville. Are we gonna talk about that game?
Let's do it right now. Jump into it.
Yeah, I
want to get your lock pick of college, and I'm going to give you an upset alert pick as well as a lock pick. So go ahead.
Me too.
Yeah, I think this could be an upset alert. I really do. Look, this is too many points to me. I mean, Louisville is a solid football team. They're really well coached. Shuck is a good quarterback. Miami just seems to be kind of living on the edge against good teams. Look, they should have lost to Cal. I mean, let's just be honest. They didn't. They found a way. But I think they're going to play in a lot of close games against good opponents. And this betting number is up to -5. That's a lot. That means Miami's got to win by margin. It's not a 3-point win. You know, if this is 2.5, maybe I look to Miami. But 5, I think Louisville's live in a high-scoring game, right? Both these teams will move the football. Both teams will throw the football. Miami is throwing the ball at a super high level. They have 400 passing yards a game, 40 yards more than anyone else. They're just chucking the ball. They're getting by. They're getting by and winning. This could be the end, though. Louisville's pretty good.
Here's my upset pick of the week. Or no. Let me give you an upset alert pick of the week to keep your eye on, because Notre Dame's been rolling. I think Georgia Tech slows them down tremendously this week. I think Georgia Tech can win the game, but I'm definitely going to take them in the points margin. I truly think Georgia Tech can be a team. They're better than people think. I think Georgia Tech hits a wall here. I'm sorry, Notre Dame hits a wall here. Notre Dame's been rolling ever since the NIU loss. Fucking nobody at school. Football's not mediocre though.
No Illinois matching the school.
And now I think Georgia Tech hits them. The other one is I don't even know, because we know that Illinois is ranked higher, but everyone knows Michigan would be obviously defending champ. That's another game I'm interested in, Jeff. Illinois, Michigan, and then Tennessee, Alabama. Those 3 games I want to talk to you real quick before you get out of here. What do you think about those 3 in particular?
Well, I want to explain something to you and your audience. This is fascinating to me, okay? I'm going to ask you guys a question. How many times do you think Michigan has been in the red zone this season? 6 games.
If I had to guess,
I would say
this is 6 games, okay? So think about that.
12.
Nah, I would say 20.
11.
I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy.
I mean, but he just showed us, and what I think a lot of people would respond with, they would say,
now, red zone getting there and meaning -20, or do they go and score and you don't get that?
Just attempts getting into the red zone. Now people will say, well, Jeff, maybe they have a lot of big plays too. No, they're bottom 20 in America in plays over 10 yards. This offense is horrid. They're terrible. They're real bad. They have no quarterback play. They can't move the football. They're averaging under 100 yards a game throwing the football. They're just not good. That's not going to change. Now, defensively, they're very solid. They've got a good offensive and defensive line. That's going to try to stay in games. We just talked about Duke and it kind of being a big game. Illinois had this game circled. I've heard in that football room, they have this game circled. They're getting 3.5. This is a big celebration there. I think they're celebrating like 100 years as a program. They have the better quarterback in this game. They're getting 3.5. I agree, Coach. I think if you're leaning Illinois, I like Illinois. This Michigan team is poor, man. I don't, especially on offense. Someone's asking how many times have they scored a touchdown in the red zone. It's quite low. I got to get the number. I don't have it in front of me, but it's quite low.
Yeah, where you at, Tennessee, Alabama?
I leaned over. 2 offenses that I like. I know Nico's struggled a little bit recently, but I don't trust either defense. I think Miami or Alabama's kind of showed us who they are defensively. I think it's first to 30 wins.
First to 30 wins.
Yeah, that's interesting. Any other games real quick before you get out of here you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think Arkansas LSU is an interesting one. I think that's a fun game back and forth. That's a big upset spot. I think Arkansas could pull it off. Pittman's really good as an underdog, the coach there. He hasn't done a lot of things well, but he has been good as an underdog. That game was a back and forth game last year. LSU, when they play a good offense, they've kind of struggled. I know they did okay last week, but Dart threw a couple of picks. I kind of like it over in that game. I could see Arkansas winning the game as well.
Where you at with let me ask you a question real quick. Contender or pretender? Texas A&M.
I think they're a contender. I think Mike Elko said it's the best defense he's ever had as a coach. They got a Mississippi State team that, they've been hanging around in games. I got to give Mississippi State a little credit. A&M's not rolling by margin, but they have a really good defense. Their quarterback's finally healthy. I think their defensive line, they're good in the trenches. I think they're pretty legitimate. Are they going to win the SEC? No, but I think they're a group that can contend.
Jeff, and the reason why our defense is so dominant, a large part, because their defensive coordinator who they acquired this year named Jay Bateman, a guy who was my defensive coordinator at Ball State, has climbed the rankings. Shout out to Coach Bateman, man, for getting those boys right. Just want to shout out my D coordinator for that. JB, jump back in.
Shout out to him.
He's not very good.
Jay Bateman was your defensive. I want to say he was at Army for a period of time.
Yes, he was. He left Ball State, went to Army. We played Army when he was there. When we had our other D coordinator, who I'm not going to name. Different coaching staff, wasn't as great as the older one, but I had some really good coaches at Ball State my first couple years, and they all obviously used the MAC as a stepping stool to elevate and go somewhere else.
I'll tell you what, as a guy that watches, like, that's a good coach, man. That's impressive.
Very good coach. And Joey Lynch is over there. I think it's Texas A&M as well. Joey Lynch was the guy who recruited me to go to Ball State. He was the quarterback coach. Joey Lynch is the son of Billy Lynch, who was the former IU head coach years ago. I'm sure you guys know. Shout out to Joey Lynch as well. So just shout out my coaches who have elevated and went on to grander pastures.
Very average coach. Hey, Jeff, appreciate you jumping in here. I wish you were coming down this weekend, man. Shaun's flying in after the show. He's flying in. I'm going to pick him up in the airport. We're going to do a little poker tomorrow. Food.
Eric Weddle's driving in.
Eric Weddle's going to drive in.
Oh, really?
Steve Kim, like literally is a whole I'm pulling up.
Sounds like a lot of men hanging out together.
Well, we can't see everybody else's comments.
When you get older, Jeff, when you get older, see, you and Smitty's still young. He doesn't understand. When you get older, sometimes it's like guys' weekend. It's a guy's type of thing.
I know.
We'll have a few around maybe, but, but Smitty's married. Smitty's married. He doesn't need to see anyone.
Yeah. Now, is he going to stay with you or is he?
Shaun?
Yeah.
Yeah, stay with me. I got a spare room, so,
Will you both get in that hot tub?
Nah, I unplugged it right now because Edison's fucking me right now on the bill, and I was like, "Fuck you." So I'm actually gonna install in ground one.
Nothing says getting back at the fucking company by just unplugging the fucking hot tub. Fuck those company.
Jeff.